Gotcha, man. Well, we can't thank you enough for fitting us in. I imagine it's got to be a busy time in your world right now,
Man,
transitioning or
it's
figuring out what's going on.
crazy.
I mean, so yeah. Well, what's going on? I think it all kind of. I mean, like we were texting. It shocked me. I'm sure it probably shocked you. It shocked Allison, all the Steeler fans. What was? Where are you right now mentally with everything, and what's the next step?
Man, I'm at peace, man. I think that still is a great organization. They did everything they could do to retain me. We just really couldn't come to an agreement about, the money situation, which every team is having problems with the veterans right now. So obviously that. But yeah, man, I'm just happy. You know what I mean? I'm excited, really. Just new opportunities, new places to go play, new defenses to learn. I'm kind of excited about it all.
I mean, I told these guys, I've talked to a lot of players here these first 3 months doing this thing, but that conversation we had has got to be number one. That was you're amazing. Made me want to put on the pads and start playing. I just love how you approach the game, approach life. It's old school. It's needed in society. So rather than me blab, I'm sure everybody here will want to have a few questions for you here. So let's just open it up and fire away.
Vince, hey, I'm a Steelers fan, and I'm just really sad, when I read that they terminated your contract. But I guess my question would be, are you allowed to talk about like who's in board or any of that?
I'm sorry, I didn't get any of that. You were breaking up.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah.
You're good now, I think. It was just
okay.
that a little bit, yeah.
Gotcha. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, cool. So I'm basically wondering if you're allowed to share with us the teams that have shown interest in signing you.
I'm not going to talk about all of that, but yeah, It's been some teams. I've had, I've actually been surprised, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? I mean, for the first time, not having a job, it's some insecurities that come along with that. You know what I mean? Especially after being fired, you think to yourself like, man, wow. But then, when, God closes one door, several other open up and you get other opportunities other places. So, it's kind of been encouraging to see other teams reach out and be like, no, we understand who you are as a person. We love the way you play and we want you to come in and just continue to be Vince Williams, just do it in our jersey. So nice. It's encouraging.
That's good. I'm glad you're having, you've made it a good experience when you could have made it like an awful experience. So that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, like eight years of being the heart and soul of that team, that defense. I imagine there's, a lot of good memories that you do cherish. Were you surprised when it happened? Because I mean, I definitely was. I didn't see that coming, Vince.
Oh, no, I wasn't surprised. I understood when the new CBA got signed and when everything started rolling downhill, what was going to happen to veteran players. Yeah. So, I mean, I seen it coming from a mile away. I thought we would find some type of compensation. I thought we would be able to find some type of middle ground, but we really wasn't able to find the middle ground. So I was like, yo, that's discouraging. But no, I think it all happened for the better. And I don't really think I was the heart and soul of the defense, to be honest with you. I think that's Cam Hayward, just to be honest.
Really?
Like, I was a very unique and dependable role player for the most part. I made a lot of plays, but the heart and soul of the defense is Cameron Hayward. Like, he is the guy. Like, he's the guy. He's my leader. He's the guy that gets me going. He's really, truly the heart and soul of the Pittsburgh Steelers defense.
That's true. He's been there a while.
So, Vince, as an old school style player, what is it like in the locker room when you run into the guy that is making the business decisions out there and not necessarily sticking his nose in there? And how is the accountability actually handled in the locker room?
You don't really have it that way. It's not that guys individually have become softer. It's that the game has become softer. It doesn't require you to stick your face in there as much. You know what I mean? So then when you do and you're willing to display overt levels of toughness, that becomes an asset. So it's not like guys now are just choosing not to be hard. It's just that the requirements of football is not really as grimy as they used to be. So now when you have guys that have that type of willingness, it becomes an asset or a benefit. Not so much a negative to guys who don't have it as much because the game just doesn't call for that much physicality as it used to.
My father.
Thank you.
No problem.
Hey, Vince. So as a free agent now, are you spending time studying the teams that are showing interest in you to see how you would be a fit on their defense? I mean, I'm sure teams are doing that for you, right? To find out if you would be a fit for them. But do you look around the league and perhaps even during the year, do you study games to see how teams are approaching, certain situations and whether you think you'd be an asset to their defense and that style?
Absolutely. I mean, as a veteran, it's all about fit for me. Like, I want to go somewhere that I can make an impact, that I can make an immediate impact, that, I can be used as a tool to, lead us to victory and try to get a Super Bowl. That's very important to me. And then also as a football fanatic, I love just watching as much tape as possible. So, just being in a position where I can learn a new defense, find new ways to make myself, special, or find new ways to make myself splash and make new plays to help a team win. I'm into all of that. So just watching, the teams that are having interest in me, going back and watching their games, watching how they play. I love doing that. That's currently what I've been doing.
And one other quick question, if I could. So you've been there for a number of years. I know even dating back to when Antonio Brown was there, and some of the drama with Juju, and not asking you to get in any specifics on that, but what type of characters are there like in the locker room? I mean, what type of person did you find Antonio Brown to be? I mean, do you have any comment on any of that stuff?
Well, absolutely. Antonio Brown was an amazing teammate. Antonio Brown was one of the best teammates I've ever had in my life. Like, you know what I mean? Just the hardest working guy you've ever seen in your life. Like, Antonio Brown would run 4 to 3 miles at practice a day. Like, he would spend hours after practicing. I went to his house one time. We were hanging out. He had his cousin in his living room. He was standing on a Buso ball. I don't know if anybody know what that is, but it's a piece of workout equipment that's used for balancing. Well, obviously, Antonio Brown lived in a very expensive home. The front room was pretty large. He would have his cousin standing on one side of the living room, and he would be shooting a jugs machine through his living room while AB was standing on a Buso ball with a helmet on, catching balls. Like, all the man did was work hard. He's the hardest working individual I've ever met in my life. And he taught me so much about the game. I remember a conversation we had. I was eating some hot wings in the locker room. And he was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm just eating some hot wings." He was like, "Oh, you're still eating because food tastes good now?" He was like, "Nah, Vinny, we don't do that no more. We eat to be great around here." And he put me on a whole food regimen. He didn't put me on it, but he just introduced me to nutrition and the things I should be eating and what I shouldn't be taking. Like, the man was ridiculously committed to the game of football.
That's awesome. Thank you.
That is, and your lockers were right back by each other, right, Vince? From what I remember in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, we were locker mates.
Yeah. That's incredible. I mean, what else, like in that locker room or with your Steeler teams over the 8 years, would we be surprised to hear? Whether it's a player or something that isn't really talked about that maybe should be talked about?
I mean, I don't know. That's kind of a vague question. You'd have to be more specific. I don't really know how to answer, because I feel like everybody on the Steelers is so transparent. Like, they really are who you think they are. Everybody, even the organization is like that as well. So it's not really something that I would tell you that would come off as a surprise to you, because we're just kind of all just football players and we just play great football. And our personalities come out in our play. So it's kind of obvious who we are. Like, if I told you James Harrison was intense, you would be like, "Oh, yeah, okay." Like, it wouldn't surprise anybody.
Yeah. Guys can be themselves there, right? That's what Mike kind of wants. Yeah.
Vince, at this point in your career, what do you look for in a new team? Is it the culture of the team? Is it the opportunity to win a Super Bowl? Is the opportunity to obviously be a big playing time and be a big part of that defense? What's the most important thing for you at this point in your career?
Oh man, I just, I pray about it every day. I just hope that God guides me in the right direction. I mean, I just want to look for somewhere that I can benefit. Somebody's going to appreciate my talents and abilities. That's really it. Like, it's just really all about the fit for me. Like I've accomplished a lot in my career. I would love to win a Super Bowl. I'm definitely looking to try to join a contender, obviously. But more importantly than that, just somewhere where I can fit, where I can be helpful and I can be useful.
So despite the teams that are in your division, tell me about a couple teams that maybe you just enjoyed playing.
Man, I don't really know that I enjoy playing against.
Right. Yes.
Playing against. Who do I enjoy playing against? Man, the funnest games are the games in your division. You know what I mean? So it's hard to say. It's like those are the guys you really get up for. Those are the people you really want to play against. So it's outside of the division, it's just great players. I don't really look at teams. I look at great players. Like I love to play against Derrick Henry. I love to play against Leonard Fournette. I love to play against Zeke Elliott. I really enjoy the way that they play the game. I like guys like that. I like guarding Kelsey. He challenges you. Just things like that. I really look at people. It's not so much outside of the division. It's more about the greatness of the players you're playing against. Because when you're standing on the field, like Tom Brady for me is another big one. When you're on the field with Tom Brady, you just recognize that you're competing against greatness. Like this is football at its highest form from the quarterback position. And, just having that type of experience, is priceless.
Thank you.
I have a question for you about the Steelers, if you don't mind. That organization team seems to just churn out talented linebackers just year after year after year. What is it about kind of their program that makes linebackers so successful?
It's really just a standard. It's not so much the program. It's just that they find linebackers that fit the system, and then the standard of the system kind of just helps push guys ahead. It's like they keep finding similar guys to fit similar roles, and those roles don't really change that much or evolve over the years. And if you can keep finding guys that fit that, it just makes it easier to do. I don't know if that clears it up for you.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. It's extremely hard to be a cornerback in our system. That's why they say, well, they don't draft cornerbacks very well. Well, yeah, it's extremely hard to be a good Pittsburgh Steelers cornerback. It's not as hard to be a Pittsburgh Steelers linebacker as it is to be a Pittsburgh Steelers corner. It's just harder to do. Which is why there's been less of them.
That makes sense as to why it took them so long to find a good combination in the backfield.
Well, yeah, it's hard to find guys that can do what they ask you to do, but that's just not a Pittsburgh Steelers problem. That's a football problem. Other places they have other positions of the football team that they ask them to do extraordinary things, and it's just difficult to fill those voids.
Vince, we talked a lot about it, but just with where the game of football is at today, with its violence, with its physicality, I thought you put it so well in saying you don't have to be a tough guy to play in today's game. You know what I mean? Like if you can run fast, if you're athletic, there's probably a job for you. What's the future of the game, the sport look like, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Where is this going? And I imagine it, I don't know. I get a little troubled by the inherently the game itself kind of changing. And it felt like you were a little concerned too when we talked.
I'm not concerned. I don't ever want to say that I'm concerned. But Terrence Garvin was my roommate at Florida State. Whenever we played together, whenever we traveled on road games, he'd be my roommate. And he told me this my rookie year. He was like, Vince, football is about to be basketball on grass. It's about to be positionless. And that's where I really see it going. And I'm not discouraged by it. I think it's just evolving. I'm pretty sure Bart Starr or Roger Staubach will look at us and be like, you guys are whips. You know what I mean? I don't want to ever be the old man sitting back looking at the game change and critiquing it and being, one of those guys. No, I'm encouraged by the growth of the game. Let it change into whatever it's going to be. And if you're a talented person, you're going to be able to adjust and find a way for it to fit you. You know what I mean? I'm not discouraged by it in any way. I think that it's always going to be a place for tough guys in football. And I also think it's a cycle. This will come around, and then you'll get guys that you'll get a Jerome Bettis one day. And he's going to be running over all of these 180-pound DBs and all of these 210-pound linebackers. And then you're going to have to get linebackers to stop that guy because he's going to rush for 3,000 yards in 2 seasons. And the game is going to, it's going to circulate.
I mean, Tampa Bay just kicked the ass out of Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, right? Like defense won the Super Bowl, so that's a pretty good sign. I don't know. for
Well,
the
I mean,
soul
both
of
of
the
their left
sport.
tackles. I mean, both of their tackles was hurt, and then you have Tampa Bay with premier edge rushers, and also you always need a run game in the playoffs. You cannot win in the playoffs without a run game. So it's because it's all about time, possession, and moments, and situational football, and you got to have a running game to dominate those.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Vince, I'd like to dig into the business end a little bit, looking at the CBA, looking at the situations it's caused, where you have the highest dollar contracts going out to maybe not the best talent on the field. How do players feel? Do you feel looked after? Do you feel like you're on your own when it comes to these negotiations?
I don't really feel like we're on our own. I think we're just not involved enough. You know, I said this. I used to be a rep. And I told them we were going through all of these negotiations. We were going through the CBA. We had like half of the people in the NFL didn't even vote. You know, we're perpetuating the stereotype of dumb jocks in the NFL because they're not getting involved in the CBA. They're not looking at these things. They need to be on top of it more. You know, they need more responsibility. They need to understand what's going to happen to them. You know, I seen all of this coming down the pike early in the summer. You know, I wasn't shocked by it at all. I understood the numbers. I understood what we were signing up for. I think a lot of guys don't take it as serious as they need to take it. Like me and Coach Butler talks about this all the time because Coach Butts was one of those original guys that struck to get free agency brought to the NFL. So he's a guy that I was in constant conversation with about, you know, CBAs and contracts and things. And he just was always baffled by the fact that this younger generation just wasn't informed about the business side of things, you know?
Do you have a feel for where it went sideways? Has it been
I
that
didn't
way
feel
for
like
a
it
while?
just, I don't think it just went sideways. I just think that we have a formula of doing things in the NFL differently than other sports. Obviously, other sports handle their contracts and their CBAs different ways. But I think it would behoove us all to look at the NBA because I think that the NBA is really on top of it. I think they have great leadership in their player association. They have great leadership in their individual reps and teams. And I think that it would just benefit us to pay attention to that because to me, I feel like the NBA right now definitely has the stronger players association out of all major sports in America.
Do you see
Guaranteed
young
contracts
leaders
would be
coming up?
nice.
Do you see young leaders coming up? Is there anybody whose name you want to put respect on for getting involved?
I don't know. I'm not that involved anymore, so I couldn't really speak negatively to anybody. I couldn't speak positive to anybody.
Right. Thank you.
I was gonna say, Vince. I mean, guaranteed contracts would be nice, wouldn't it? I mean, like, what would we ever see that in the NFL?
Yeah, Saquon Barkley has a guaranteed contract. I mean, there are guys who have guaranteed contracts. You know what I mean? It's just something that you have to ask for and understand that it's going to be difficult to get because of the amount of talent that how many people really play football? Do you know how many 6'1", 240-pound linebackers there are that are competent enough? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just an unlimited, renewable supply of talent. So it's hard to find a guy that's 6'9" with a jump shot. That's extremely difficult to find. Right? It's hard to find that. It's not as difficult to find a 6'1" linebacker that runs 4.6. Like it's not that difficult to find. Like you can find
that's
that.
the league's leverage. Then they're like, oh shit, we'll just get somebody else in there. Then you know.
Yeah, and they're gonna consume it regardless. Like, you know what I mean? Anybody that puts on a uniform for any team, that fan base, they're going to participate in that regardless, just to be a part of something. So they know they have that monopoly over it. There's nothing quite as exciting as football right now. So they own it. Football is the biggest sport in the world. Well, not in the world, obviously soccer, but it's probably like number 2. I would argue it's a strong number 2 because it's a lot of people that watch the Super Bowl every single year, regardless of the product. It could be 97-97 and nobody ever makes a tackle, but everybody's going to watch the Super Bowl. It's just what's going to happen.
It's so true. It's so true. Anybody else want to jump in here?
Vince, listen, if I'm a Steelers fan, you know, I hate the Ravens. You know, I'm a Bills fan, so I hate the Patriots. But as a player, like, do you have that same kind of hatred towards those other teams? Like, could you sign with the Ravens after playing for the Steelers for 8 years?
Absolutely. The Ravens is an amazing organization, and John Harbaugh is an amazing coach. You know, for me, competitiveness is all on the football field. But there's no beef between. Do you think the owners of these two organizations are they hate each other? No, they don't hate each other. So I don't hate the players. I just want to kick their butts when I'm competing against them. Obviously, like the owners want to kick each other's butts. There's no beef. There's no hatred. It's like, no, it's friendly competition. Like LJ Fort played for the Ravens, and me and him would talk all the time about who was going to make the most plays while we played against each other. I didn't want to see him get hurt. You know what I mean? I just wanted to have a horrible game when he played against the Steelers. But when I go play there, absolutely. They have an amazing franchise. They have an amazing organization. Who wouldn't want to be a Raven? Like,
Vince, earlier you mentioned about some of the game changing, how it turned to basketball on grass. I like that saying. Do you feel like the rule changes, which obviously in the past several years have all been slated towards offense, right? Making it more offense friendly and pass interference, all of that. Do you as a defensive player feel like that's ever made you change your style at all or change the way you think about the game? Or do you try not to let those thoughts enter your mind? Because if you're thinking too much, you're not instinctual.
oh, I'm not changing the way I play ever. You know what I mean? I'm just going to eat the fine, but I'm going to hit you however I desire to hit you, because that to me is what football is. Like, you can't be running full speed at somebody and think about how you're going to hit them or where you're going to hit them at. Like, football happens in a blink of an eye. It's too fast. It's too quick. I don't think the people that make these rules really understand how significant they are when they're changing these rules. Like, if you just, for instance, just look at the catch rule, what a catch was. They had no idea what they were doing when they made that stupid catch rule and how it affected game after game after game, until they had to finally go back and be like, you know what, we screwed up football for like 3 years with this stupid catch rule. We have to go back and make these adjustments. So I think that as a defender, knowing the rules and trying to play inside of the rules is important, but you can't let it dominate your play. You have to just play football the way you've always played it, the way that you've always found success in it. And then, you know, let the chips fall where they way.
It's always bad when bureaucracy gets in the way, right? Like more rules and more regulations. It just kind of muddies everything down, and we don't know what the hell anything is in football sometimes.
I think people just want to see touchdowns. I mean, the fans really are the people that dictate it. You know what I mean? It's not really about safety. Like, yes, they want to duck a couple of lawsuits, but it's really about the excitement of the game. And when you see top quarterbacks throwing for 6 touchdowns a game and lighting up fantasy points, that's exciting. You know, I can't say it's not. I'd be a hypocrite to say that. It's exciting to watch those type of things happen. But as a defender, you can't let that or those adjustments get into your head and soften your play. You just got to play the way that you've always been successful.
What's your pitch
Have
then,
a fantasy
Vince?
team?
No, I don't have a fantasy team. I play real football.
Vince, I want to ask you the interview question. If you had to encapsulate it in just a few sentences, what does it mean to be a veteran presence on and off the field?
Oh, man, I'm just a workhorse. You know what I mean? I'm a professional. I go to work every day. I'm in the building every day at 6 o'clock in the morning. You know, I'm not leaving until all the work is done. I'm not leaving until I watch every single piece of film that I could possibly consume. I'm asking my coaches deep dive questions into the offenses that we're playing. I'm going home. I'm diagnosing these things on my own. I don't need anybody to hold my hand. You know, I'll get a game plan. I'm dissecting it and breaking it down for myself. You know, I'm able to communicate these things and communicate these adjustments. A lot of these offensive coordinators I've played against for several times. Sometimes I've played against their dads and their fathers. I mean, their dads and their sons. So I understand what they're trying to do and what they're trying to get across. I've played against multiple players at multiple positions. So I know how these players play. So I can communicate those things. All of that goes into the game of football. And I feel like I have, you know, a unique understanding of how that goes because of who I am as a person and my approach to the game.
Kids doing good, Vince? Got them out there doing some bull in the ring, some Oklahoma drill, you know, keep.
No, we don't do any of that. Why? My kids are all opening their hips, running, turning, catching, jumping over stuff, all athletic movements. They won't even, my kids aren't hitting anybody until it's time to hit people. They're doing all athletic movements. I'm preparing my kids to be the football players that, you know, I couldn't be. The football players of the future, the other things. Like they're not watching Vince Williams' play. You know, they're not aspiring to be a football player like their dad. They want attributes that I maintain, but you know, they want to be the top of what today's, you know, NFL linebacker is. Like, and that's more of a hybrid guy. like Isaiah Simmons, or I think his name is for the Cardinals. Like, I think that's where the linebacker position is moving to.
How many? I mean, is there? I mean, I know you got to run, so thanks so much for your time, Vince. But like, when you look around at other linebackers in the NFL, like, is there anybody else doing what you do that approaches the game like you approach the game? Who comes to mind, if anybody?
Yeah, it's a bunch of guys, but these are not the guys that the fans choose to pull or to push because they're not the flashy guys. You know, football is all about teamwork and how you fit as a cog in a wheel. But still, there are exceptional cogs in that wheel, and those are the people that they want to rally behind. You know what I mean? And I think that you need all of that together. You need everybody to be that. You need everybody to fit together. It's a team game. But there are individuals that are exceptional in what they do. And I think those are the guys that deserve the attention because of how exceptional they are. But there are a ton of other guys who fit their roles and perform amazingly at what they do. They're just not going to get that much attention. And that's cool too. They probably don't want it. But the football purists know who those guys are. They understand how much they mean to teams. But they get it.
Do you mind if I squeeze in one
Yeah.
final question?
I was gonna say, yep.
Thanks. Yeah. So I was wondering, Vince, you still have some time in the NFL, but what do you see yourself getting into once you're done playing?
I don't know. A lot of people want me to coach. So it's like, so I could do that. I love football so much. I don't really ever see it not being a part of my life.
Mhm.
But I just want to branch. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it that much.
I think you
right
should
now
be
I'm
a
still not playing
broadcaster.
A. I would
You have a
never
really
want to be a
good
broadcaster.
broadcast voice.
Absolutely not. I feel like
No?
no, I'm not gonna get on national TV, and my opinions aren't for sale. To be honest with you,
Right.
like you can't pay me to pick a side or to argue a point, or you can't pay me to speak my mind. Like this is personal to me. The things that I have to say, how I think about the game, my interactions can't be bought. So I would never sell that. Like you can't put me in a suit and put me on TV and make me say anything. I'm not that type of guy. So
Gotcha.
I would never do broadcasting.
Way too much bullshit in that industry. Way too much for Vince Williams, I feel like. Man. Well, Vince, before we lose you, just tell us who you're gonna sign with. You know, we'll break it.
Absolutely not.
New England. New England
No,
Patriots.
man, but it's
They don't
gonna,
got any money left, right?
man, I would love to play for Bill. Like, you know, that's another guy, you know, just to get to play with Bill Belichick. You're gonna sit here and tell me in your face, if you're a football purist, you won't want to pick the brain of Bill Belichick? Like I played for Dick LeBeau, Mike Tomlin, Jimbo Fisher, like all these guys I've been around with brilliant football minds. You don't think I would want to add that to the list?
Nah,
If
you
I
don't
could
want
go
to play
back-
for the Patriots. Patriots. Nah.
You're thinking about it the wrong way. You're thinking about it as a fan. Bill Belichick. You don't want to have a football conversation with Bill Belichick?
Yeah.
That's nuts.
I live an hour away from the stadium, so you're more than
Man.
welcome here.
Yeah, that would be.
Sounds pretty miserable out there. I don't know if I'd want to play in New England. I don't know. The guys don't have a lot of fun.
Man,
they
I just
win.
think it'd be fun
They
to hear them
win.
talk about football all day.
That's true. That's true. Football and winning, that would be right up your alley then. That wouldn't be bad.
Absolutely.
Man. Vince, you're phenomenal. Dude, we can't thank you enough for squeezing us in with everything you got going on, raising kids,
No problem.
trying to find a new team, and here you are zooming it up with Go Long. So man, thank you so much. Really appreciate
No
you.
problem, man. I had a great time. Thank you guys for having me.
You got
Good
it, man.
luck.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Vince.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Vince.
it.
We'll keep in touch, Vince. Thanks.
All right, bye.